Carroll Shelby, arguably one of the greatest car designers of all time, once said, "I've always been asked, what is my favorite car? And I've always said, the next one." That's the kind of man Shelby was. Always looking at the road in front of him, always pushing forward.
To the man in the street, the most significant of all these tests of skill and endurance is the famous classic of Le Mans.
Starting in 1959, Shelby makes waves internationally by being the first American to win a truly legendary race, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Unfortunately, shortly after his famous victory in France, Shelby had to retire from racing due to a heart condition. But even though he was off the track, he didn't slow down. Drop a gear and fast forward to 1962. Mr. Shelby heads to the good old Gold Rush state and launches Shelby American to start cranking out his signature ride, the Shelby Cobra.
My name's Carroll Shelby, and performance is my business.
Shelby and his cars capture victory after victory and numerous races over the next few years, and in 1965, his Shelby GT350 hits the scene. Shelby's most famous victory, though, came in 1966, back in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. In comes the iconic Ford Shelby GT40, piloted by the best of the best, Ken Miles. Ford and Shelby crushed their rival Ferrari with a famous 1-2-3 finish. 1967, Shelby gifts the world the Shelby GT500 427. Shelby's then went on to dominate Trans-American races over the next few years. After a decade of winning races, making history, and building badass cars, Carroll Shelby decides to take a much-needed break, starting in 1970. In fact, he actually spent much of his time exploring Africa in all of its splendors. Between that, tending to his Texas ranch, making one hell of a chili recipe, and starting an entire wheel company, Shelby had plenty to keep him busy. Floor it all the way to 2005, Shelby and Ford are back, unveiling to the world the Shelby Mustangs that you and I grew up with. I think we all remember the Shelby GT500s that came out in 2007, followed by the GT350s in 2011. Sadly, 2012 brought bad news with it.
A huge loss for the auto racing world. Legendary car designer Carroll Shelby has died at the age of 89.
Even though we lost a legend, Carroll Shelby's name and legacy still marches on, with Shelby American bringing us some of the most impressive vehicles on the market today. I'm not too sure that I've ever been so inspired by any other automotive icon like this. And so, in the spirit of always pushing forward towards the next one, I'd like to introduce the newest member of this channel's family. As Einstein once said, freedom in any case is only possible by constantly struggling for it. So when opportunity knocks on your door, you grab it by the horns and hang on tight. And sometimes, when you get tired of waiting by that door, you've got to be the one who knocks. I know this seems like it came out of absolutely nowhere, and honestly, that's just because it did. Let me explain. Last week, I tweeted about looking for an F-150 to build, and one of you guys replied with a listing. Jokingly, after seeing it was the last one for sale of its kind, we reached out asking if it was still available. So I guess you guys do still have that truck in stock?
Yeah, let me make sure. I'm pretty sure we do.
And to our surprise, we got a phone call back asking if we could get on the phone with Shelby American in an hour. Guess what? What? We have a phone call in about 30 minutes with the owner of the dealership and also with a representative from Shelby America.
Yeah. So this isn't a phone call. This is
like
the phone call.
They just now. After getting on the phone, Shelby loved the channel and our proposed build idea we had in mind for the truck.
That's your idea.
Do you really?
And that'll set you up.
And actually invited to fly us there, meet them, see their headquarters, and then pick up the truck. A few hours later, we had flights paid for and we were packing for Vegas. We have officially landed in Vegas. This definitely looks like a place you would get in trouble. Vegas was cool and all, but we couldn't have imagined what was coming next. Wait. So you thought we were actually going to have this brand new $100,000 ultra rare, like literally one of 250 super trucks with only 6 miles on it delivered nearly 2,000 miles in a completely safe enclosed trailer with a professional driver? Hell no. We'd never seen any of this part of the country before, plus the truck needing break-in miles was the perfect excuse for a road trip. Over 2 straight days of nearly continuous driving and very little sleep, we finally got the Super Snake back home, and it was time to clean it up and see what it could do. So yeah, everything that we just quickly glossed over is going to be in the next 2 videos, and I promise it is incredibly exciting stuff. Between the racetrack with this exact truck's prototype, like we really got to go take it out of the track. It was crazy. We went and toured the Shelby facility, saw the production and also their museum, and we got the entire road trip back home. Content with Shelby is off to a really hot start. But basically, this is a 2020 Shelby Super Snake Sport. It is one of 250 made, and actually this was the last one that was sold. Funny enough, the first one went to Post Malone of all people in this exact same spec, except his was supercharged. Did you catch that? If you know who we are, then you can probably imagine that this is going to be a pretty intense 4-wheel drive build that is for sure one of a kind, but that's all I'll say for now. Before I accidentally spill the beans on too much about this truck, I want to give a huge thanks to Bill Pierre Ford and also, of course, Shelby American, because without them, this truck wouldn't be here. My main goal of this project is not only to blow the mind of Vince, the guy who actually designed this truck, but also to take you guys along for the ride. And not to spoil anything, but parts for this truck have been arriving left and right already,
and we've got plenty more on the way. Yeah, I really cannot wait to show the world what we've got up our sleeves with this one.